So my name's Armitage. I work for Virgin Media, specifically for the mobile part of it. I've worked for them between the different businesses now for nearly 13 years, so a long time. In terms of my personal journey, a long one really. Wasn't the most academic person at school, if I'm honest with you. My school reports definitely said could try harder, which my mum was very pleased about. And did all sorts of jobs, even during school. Worked on farms, shops, sold cars for a little while. And then I ended up doing an outbound telesales job for small businesses on gas. Small team, about 10 people, and they shut that down. And after about 3 months I was there, and they asked me if I would go work in the contact centre for one of the energy companies in the north of England. There was about 350 people in there, and from the minute I walked in, I realised that it was the right environment for me, probably more so than any other one I'd ever been in, to be honest with you. And there was the biggest reason was people. So there was people around me, obviously, 350 people. I spoke to customers because that was my job in customer service. I enjoyed speaking to them. Can't think of a day I went in where I didn't think it was a great job to have at the time. And because I found a home for myself, decided that was probably a place for me to have a career as well. So pretty much done every job you can think of in the contact centre since then. I've been on the front line as an advisor, team manager, resource planning, reporting, call routing. And then most recently made a decision I needed to combine what I'd done with support roles with what I'd learnt in the front line when I'd been working in the bigger contact centres, to give myself a more rounded approach to not just customer service but to contributing towards the business as well, and try and bring all the things I'd learned together, which is how I've ended up working in Virgin Mobile. And had kind of 3 real key specific tasks to do in my latest role for the last 2 years. One was to shut down a centre, which wasn't the greatest job to do because I've already talked about people. One was to set up a brand new site and help move our partner resources around as well, which was obviously much more fun than telling people they didn't have a job anymore. And at the same time as that, trying to improve the customer experience. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the last couple of years and how I got where I got. There's only one thing I'd say about it actually, which is I said I wasn't very academic at school, and I've got the attention span of a gnat, to be honest with you. But I do remember, which is probably why it suits me, I do remember my teachers at school, away from saying just you need to try harder, I do remember them saying you need to find a home for yourself where you work with and I don't think we'll use the word lead because, but I can't remember the exact word, but where you influence people around you. So I guess there was something about the way I am that lends itself to being in big groups of people, to be honest with you. Because the customer's important. It's the customer's at the heart of our organisation. In fact, I think there's a lot of organisations that actually say that but probably don't mean it, but at Virgin Media we believe it. It's really important to Virgin Mobile because we aren't the biggest mobile player in the UK by quite a mile, and therefore we need to differentiate on customer service, and that's how we differentiate from the competition. So it's particularly important to us because that's how we gain new customers. Because we've the Virgin brand, there's an expectation from people that buy from us of what they expect, so it makes our job a little bit more challenging because we've got to be better than most people just for people to get what they think they should from us. But I think we have a team that does that, tries to do that every day. And we do that because we believe that if we treat the customer right and we treat our people right, that we'll create growth for our organisation through advocacy. And for advocacy, we'll probably deliver some shareholder value at the same time. So it's at the heart and the centre of everything that we do, to be honest with you. In a couple of ways, really. The first thing I'd say is that we do believe in it. As I say quite a lot, I think there's a lot of businesses around that use the word customer because they think they should use the word customer. Whereas at Virgin Media, we use the word customer because it's really important to us, because we want to do the job better, because we've got a passion for delivering great service, and I believe we've got a group and a team of people that come to work every day to try and do it a little bit better. The reason I think that is because As a person that leads quite a large team there, I cannot think of a day that goes by where some of the frontline teams don't send me information about how we can be better. In fact, the challenge is more how you fix the amount of things to be better that they want you to fix, because how do you prioritize it? Because whether it affects one customer or 100 customers, it still affects the customer. So we try and talk to the frontline as much as possible about the reasons we can do things and sometimes the reasons we can't do things, because I think you need to help them understand some more information around the way your business operates and the knock-on impact of changing some things. Some things have financial impacts, which means we can't do them straight away as well, because we need to invest in it. But as a general rule, we try to improve ourselves every day, try and do it a little bit better, and we try to think about creative ways of improving the way we organise ourselves every day to improve the customer experience. Yeah, so I talked previously about doing this job for the last couple of years, having to change the sites that we operated in, both in-house and outsource, but also about how part of this role was to make us deliver better service. So at the time, our NPS results weren't very good. Customers were clearly telling us that we weren't where we needed to be. Our frontline teams and the people I work with every day were fairly clear about the fact we were leaving them with a lot of mess to clear up, that in some cases they were struggling how to do it. And so I decided to try and create a program of change that would bring our entire business together, from our senior exec to our support teams, to our IT teams, to my own teams. And to do that, what we did was we spoke to the front line and we got the entire front line to think differently about the way they were operating and tell us everything they could about what was wrong, about how we could make it better. And we ended up with about 700 pieces of feedback that we had to work through. And my approach to that was to try and reduce the demand that came in, one. Two, cut out bad costs or wastage, so where we seem to be spending money on things we didn't need to spend it on. And try and use that money to reinvest back into our people and our customer. And for our people, by giving them better environments working and better tools and investing in stability in the systems. And for our customer, through helping deliver a better experience for our people. We managed to take out, through the exercise, which came, like I said, straight from the front line, which is a key point to this, annually over £3 million worth of cost. We managed to improve our NPS by over 20 percentage points, which is a big improvement in less than 2 years. And at the same time as that, we managed to improve our employee engagement in the customer service teams. So year on year, we managed to improve our engagement score by 30% because our people believed that it was really important to us. That customer service was really important to us. And if you give people a job title that's got customer service in it and they don't believe that you want to be brilliant at customer service, then why have you given them the job title? They've got to believe you and they've got to have pride in their job, and they can't have pride in their job when you are not giving them the best tools to do the job and the best chance of being successful at it for the customer, because ultimately the result makes their life a lot harder, doesn't it? So in terms of innovation, I don't know whether I'd call it innovative, because I'm sure lots of people have done it before, but it certainly resulted in a brilliant outcome, because as I said, as I sit here today, we do it cheaper, so shareholder value. Our NPS is higher, so our customers think we're a lot better than we used to be. In fact, we are now the second least complained about mobile company in the UK. You can probably guess where we were 2 years ago. Our aim is to be the least complained about by a mile if we can, but we've still got a little bit of a way to go there. And at the same time, it's not about our people think they work in a great place and have pride in the job that they do and want to stay with us, more importantly. In a few ways, really. The first one I would say is that to lead customer service, you need to help people that work with you understand how they can do it. You can't do it on your own. And not just help them understand how to do it, but make them believe they can. Make them believe they can make a change. Make them believe they're listened to. And make them believe that when they've got a good idea, that you will either, one, do something about it and change it, because people tend to feel pretty engaged in things that they can influence themselves. Or if you can, be really clear about the reasons, because there's usually a good reason. You just need to give somebody more information. So if you asked me how I've led it differently with my frontline team, it would be that giving people belief that they could make change and have an opinion, and we'd do something with that opinion. I guess the other part for me is I've worked for Virgin Media and all the other businesses. It was for a long time, as I said a little bit earlier, 13 years now, which means I've got a real big contact list of people across the organisation, which helps me, one, open doors sometimes because people know me, and two, get things done a little bit more quickly. So I think probably the difference for me personally is my ability to influence and get people to help us change stuff, and not just in my own team, get other people to realise that they can help us be a little bit better as well. And I guess lastly it would be, I think I'm just me, and I think people follow people, and I think people buy into people that are themselves and aren't trying to be somebody they're not. And I think I'm the same whether I'm speaking to the senior exec or whether I'm speaking to the front line, because it's not about changing me to other people, it's about me being me. And I think when people believe in you and believe they know who you are, I think you've got a really good chance of connecting with them. And if you can connect with them to make them realise how they can make your business better, both for the people that work there and the customer, then I think you've got a good chance of being a little bit more successful. Yeah, attitude, is it attitude? I think it's more of a cultural approach. The attitude is a good word, but for me it would be that we have a culture of trying to do a great job. We have a culture of trying to improve the way we do things every day, big and small. I think our people believe that we want to be better, that we want to continually improve ourselves. And I think they come to work with a passion to improve themselves as well, which I think probably differentiates them from some other places that I've worked in. And how do I know that? I guess that's a good question. Because that sounds all wonderful words and great stuff about people, but how do I know that? Well, about 18 months ago we implemented direct SMS feedback from customers about the people they'd spoken to. So if I went back about 18 months, about 7 out of every 10 customers that rang us said they were really happy with the person they spoke to. And actually 18 months later we've got about 8.5 customers out of every 10. I don't know, you get half a customer, but you get my point. We get 8.5 customers out of every 10 that actually say they're really pleased with the person they spoke to. And that's because our people have made a decision that they want to be better every day. And if I put some context around that shift, that probably means for Virgin Mobile, well, that probably does mean that over 1 million customers a year rate the person they speak to as being really good and really helpful. So 1 million more customers a year now think that the people at Virgin Mobile are brilliant than they did 18 months ago. So I think that probably proves the point about continually trying to strive to be a little bit better within ourselves. We probably do all the things that everybody else does. We have quality frameworks, we have compliance checks, we give people up-to-date knowledge information. I guess none of that's much different to what most of the people are trying to do, to be honest with you, but it's there and it covers probably 70% of the way that we operate for our people. But I think there's 30% that we do a little bit differently. Because I don't actually think we want to be consistently the same every single time, because we haven't got a group of people that are all the same. So I think we try to encourage our people to have personality, for that to come through when they're speaking to our customers. Because as I say, people buy people, and if the customer thinks they're speaking to a real person, they probably feel taken care of a little bit more. And we don't want a robotic service. So whilst we do the stuff that's really important to be consistent, as in the information we give and how we resolve customers' queries and how we make the customer experience better, I think the slight difference we probably have is that we actually believe that our people should have their own personality, and they're allowed to have their own personality. Why not? And if I'm really honest with you, Probably sounds a little bit cheesy, but that's a bit of what Virgin's all about. Well, we have reduced needless contact, needless phone calls and emails, etc., which has saved us over £3 million a year. We have improved the customer experience. We know that because customers tell us that. So, one, we're the second least complained about mobile operator in the country right now, and secondly, 8.5 out of every 10 customers that speak to us think that we do a great job. So definitely over the past couple of years I've influenced that, but not on my own. I've got to be really clear about that through having a big group of people across the organisation that wanted the same thing. And by organisation I mean from our product to our finance teams to our IT teams. Everybody has contributed towards us being a much more successful business than we were a couple of years ago. So I'm really proud of the part that I've played in helping bring some of that together. But I'm also really proud in the teams at the front line because they have continually striven to be better. And more than that, and hopefully I've helped with this, they believe that they can make a difference and do make a difference every single day. Lots of things, if I'm really honest with you. A sense of achievement would be one. Watching the people around me grow and get better themselves, so improve themselves. I'm really proud this year because I'm sat in this chair right now, but also there's another couple of members of my team that were put through by our organisation for these awards, so I'm really proud of that. And one of my team last year won one of the awards as well, so whilst Virgin Mobile as a team is the smallest of all the teams we've got, we seem to be getting lots of people that are obviously enjoying themselves and doing a great job. This is a good example of that, so I get personally a lot from that. I get a lot from feeling like I'm part of a successful business. We've had a very rocky journey in the cable industry in the time that I've worked in it, from bankruptcy. But most recently, we've had a really successful time, and I'm really proud of where I work. Why am I proud of where I work? Because I feel confident to tell people where I work these days. If I went back 10 years ago, if you mentioned the company that I worked for that time, one of two things happened to you in the pub, right? So either you got given a complaint to deal with whilst you're having a pint, which is not easy, I've got to be honest with you, and you've got better things to do when you've got a pint. Or B, people told you about how bad your reputation was, and after a while you decided you weren't going to tell people where you worked anymore. But I don't feel like that anymore because I still get the odd complaint, I've got to be honest with you, because that's what we do, especially when you say you're in customer service. But I'm proud of where I work, and that means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the people around me. So that's another reason. And I guess the last one, which is probably a little bit corny, but I'm going to say it anyway, would be my family, right? So, funnily enough, I spoke to my mum this morning on the way down to London, and she seems very proud that I'm coming to see you guys. Which is good because there's times when I was younger, as I've mentioned, when she probably wasn't quite as proud of me. My children as well, because I obviously want to set the right example for them in terms of the way I think you should be. So what my family think of what I am doing and how I set the standards for my children in the future is also really important to me as well. And I think that's probably no single silver bullet for that question, I'm afraid. Lots of different things that make it really important to me and are the reason I enjoy doing it.